Welcome to Quick Speak, the English podcast. I'm glad you could join us today.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're looking at something that affects almost everyone, the evolving world of work, and specifically, the office.
That's right. The way we work and where we actually do our work, it's changed so much over time, and it's still changing really fast.
Absolutely. I mean, if you picture an office from, say, 50 years ago, typewriters, maybe lots of paper files.
Definitely. Piles of paper. Now think about today, digital tools. Everything in the cloud, even AI is starting to pop up in how we work.
And the physical spaces, too, from those, little boxes, the cubicles, to these big, open, flexible spaces you see now. They feel totally different.
It's true. The office really reflects these huge shifts in technology and culture, and importantly, in how we think about well-being at work.
So in this session, we'll explore how office designs have changed, what modern offices are like, how technology is shaping things.
And also different ways people work now, like remote work or hybrid models.
We'll touch on how people interact, the culture side of things, and maybe peek into what the future might hold.
And the aim is to help you understand these big changes and, of course, learn some useful English vocabulary related to the world of work along the way.
It really is like the office is this small world that just keeps evolving, isn't it?
It really is. So where should we start? Maybe a look back.
Good idea. How did this whole concept of the office even begin?
Well, a lot of it traces back to the Industrial Revolution. Before that, work was mostly farming or crafts.
Right.
But as businesses got bigger, more complex, you suddenly had this explosion of administrative work. Managing accounts, writing letters, keeping records.
All that paperwork needed a place.
Exactly. You needed a central spot to handle it all efficiently. And that was really the birth of the sort of dedicated office space.
Okay, so administration drove the need for a central hub. But then came a big change in the space itself, mid-20th century, the cubicle.
Yes, the cubicle. That really took hold in the 1950s, 60s. It was heavily influenced by ideas about scientific management, Taylorism.
Efficiency above all.
Pretty much. Standardizing tasks, making supervision easy. Cubicles were seen as perfect for that. Keep workers focused on repetitive tasks, clear hierarchy, easy for managers to see what's going on, control, and predictable output.
Very different vibe from today. So what was the next big shift? Maybe the late 90s, early 2000s? Tech companies.
Exactly. The nature of work started changing for a lot of people. We saw the rise of what's called knowledge work.
Work that needs creativity, problem solving.
Precisely, not just routine tasks. And this demanded different kinds of environments. Tech companies, especially in places like Silicon Valley, started experimenting. Open layouts, shared spaces, more campus-like amenities.
Less about just fitting people in, more about getting them to interact.
That seems to be the idea. Fostering collaboration, those spontaneous conversations, building a sense of team. It was about enabling that knowledge work, not just housing the workers.
Which leads us nicely into modern office spaces. They're much more varied now, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. A big concept is activity-based working, or ABW. The office isn't just one type of space.
You mean different zones for different things?
Right. You might have quiet zones for concentration, formal meeting rooms, but also casual lounge areas for chats, maybe collaborative project spaces. The idea is you move to the spot that fits what you need to do right then.
I've also heard about bringing nature inside. Biophilic design.
Yes, that's a growing trend. Using lots of natural light, indoor plants, maybe natural materials. Research suggests it's good for well-being, reduces stress. It's not just about looking nice. Plus, there's a focus on sustainability, using recycled materials.
And what about desks? Not everyone has their own fixed desk anymore, right? This idea of free desking.
Or hot desking, yeah. It's quite common. You pick a desk when you come in, it increases flexibility and can lead to more unplanned interactions because you sit near different people.
But if it's all open, what about noise? How do you actually focus?
That's the million-dollar question with open plans. Designs now try to manage it. You'll have dedicated quiet rooms or soundproof booths for focused work.
Like little pods.
Exactly. Plus, using materials that absorb sound, clever layouts with partitions, even using specific colors to influence mood and focus.
And physical comfort must be important too.
Huge focus on ergonomics. Chairs, desks, monitor setups designed to prevent strain and health issues from sitting all day, that's pretty standard now.
If people are moving around, how do teams stick together?
Well, one approach is neighborhood seating. Even without assigned desks, a team might have a general area, a neighborhood they tend to work in, so you're still near your core colleagues for easy collaboration.
So it's a real balancing act, needing collaboration but also focus, needing flexibility but also team connection.
Precisely. It's about engineering the space using design, materials, and of course, technology.
Technology, that's obviously transformed everything.
Completely.
Yeah.
Things like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. These cloud-based tools are fundamental now. Real-time editing, shared calendars. It makes remote collaboration much easier.
And artificial intelligence, AI, is that making its way in?
It is in various ways. You might see AI chatbots for quick answers or analytics tools looking at workflow data to spot maybe bottlenecks or help make decisions. The aim is usually efficiency and getting insights from data.
And tech bridges the distance, doesn't it? Video calls, working on documents together.
Absolutely. Video conferencing is everywhere now. Geographical barriers are much lower for working together in real time.
But all this digital activity, it raises other issues, like monitoring. Digital surveillance.
Yes, that's a complex one. The technology exists for companies to monitor online activity keystrokes, websites visited, app usage.
Which leads to questions about privacy versus productivity, right?
Exactly. It's a real point of tension. Where do you draw the line? How do you build trust if employees feel constantly watched? Clear policies are crucial here.
And security is always a worry.
Constantly. With so much happening online and on different devices, cybersecurity is paramount. Protecting data, protecting systems, it's essential for the business and for employee trust.
This all ties into where people actually work now. Hybrid seems huge.
It really took off after the pandemic. The numbers are significant. One report mentioned in early 2025, nearly a quarter of new job ads offered hybrid work, and about 13% were fully remote.
Wow. And is that flexibility what people want?
Generally, yes. Employees really value being able to choose where they work or adjust their hours, but
Good employers.
many employers are pushing for more time back in the physical office. Often the reason given is about maintaining the company culture.
Are there clear benefits to working remotely according to the research?
Yes, studies link it to lower stress and less burnout for many people, often better work-life balance.
But forcing everyone back could be tough for some.
Definitely. Think about caregivers or people with disabilities. For them, the flexibility of remote work can be really important, even essential. A strict return to office policy can create real challenges.
So it boils down to a fundamental question.
Yeah. Is being productive really about being seen in the office? Or is it about trusting people to do their work well wherever they are? That debate is ongoing.
Let's talk about the people side, the social aspect, the culture. How does that work now?
It's a big focus. We know those informal chats, by the water cooler or bumping into someone in the hallway. They're actually really important.
For sharing ideas.
Yeah.
Or maybe getting advice.
Exactly. Knowledge sharing, quick problem solving, even informal mentoring often happens in those unplanned moments.
But those are harder when people aren't always in the same place.
Much harder. If you're only in the office 2 days a week or working fully remotely, you miss many of those chances for spontaneous connection.
Are companies trying to recreate that somehow?
They're trying things like having specific all hands in the office days, trying to deliberately create opportunities for face-to-face connection.
What about the fully remote people? Is there a risk they feel left out?
There can be, yes, a feeling of isolation or missing out on the informal networking that happens more naturally when you're physically present.
Even online, things are different, right? Being always online.
Yes, digital interactions create their own dynamics. Sometimes there's pressure to seem constantly available or responsive online, which can influence how people perceive your engagement or productivity.
Are there fairness issues here? Equity concerns?
There can be. For instance, women and employees from minority groups sometimes benefit less from that informal, spontaneous mentorship in the office. This is leading some companies to create more structured programs to make sure opportunities are more equal.
So what makes a strong company culture in this mixed environment?
It seems to come down to having clear shared values, leaders who are open and honest, transparent, and real opportunities for people to learn and grow in their careers.
And does that culture actually affect the business?
Oh, absolutely. Research shows companies where employees feel engaged, involved, and positive tend to be more profitable and keep their staff longer. Culture really matters to the bottom line.
How do companies make sure people working remotely still feel included?
They're experimenting. Things like buddy systems, pairing people up, virtual social events, using tools that don't require everyone to be online at once, like shared documents or project boards, trying to foster belonging for everyone.
And leadership plays a big role.
Crucial. Leaders who show empathy, understanding how employees feel, and who actively seek feedback, they build trust. And that leads to psychological safety, where people feel safe to speak up, share ideas, even make mistakes. That's vital.
Okay, let's shift to performance. How do companies even measure work now, if not just by hours spent at a desk?
It's getting more sophisticated. They're using AI tools sometimes to look at collaboration patterns, track project progress, maybe even analyze the general mood in communications.
Are there downsides to that kind of tracking?
Potentially. While it might show inefficiencies, there's a risk of what's called productivity theater. People focusing on looking busy according to the metrics rather than doing the most valuable work.
So what's a better approach?
Combining that data with human feedback seems key. Things like 360-degree reviews, getting feedback from your manager, your peers, people you manage. Also, peer recognition programs, acknowledging contributions that data alone might miss. It helps measure real commitment and innovation.
And alongside performance, there's well-being. Mental health seems like a huge topic now.
It really is. Post-pandemic data shows a lot of stress. Hundreds of thousands suffering work-related stress each year. Younger workers often report poorer mental health too.
How are employers responding?
We're seeing more support being offered. Things like dedicated mental health days, access to counseling services, promoting mindfulness practices at work.
Are there bigger structural changes being tried, like the 4-day week?
Yes, the 4-day work week is being trialed quite a bit. Early results often suggest well-being improves and productivity can hold up or even increase. But it might not work for every single industry or role.
So it's an ongoing experiment, finding ways to support people.
Definitely. Balancing business needs with the very real need to support employee mental health is a constant challenge and area of innovation.
Another critical area is equality and inclusion, DEI.
Yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a major focus for many organizations. You see things like training on unconscious bias, setting up employee resource groups, ERGs for people with shared backgrounds or interests, and setting diversity targets.
Are there proven benefits to having diverse teams?
Research links diversity directly to things like higher innovation revenue. Basically, different perspectives tend to lead to better ideas and problem solving.
But it's not always smooth sailing. Any challenges mentioned?
Sure. Sometimes you hear about diversity fatigue where people get tired of the conversation, or concerns about tokenism, including people just to meet a number, not genuinely valuing their contribution.
And dealing with complex identities.
That's still a challenge. Supporting people at the intersection of multiple identities, say LGBTQ plus people of color, requires a nuanced understanding that goes beyond simple categories.
Does bias still creep into decisions like hiring or promotions?
Unfortunately, yes. Unconscious bias is still a factor. It means leaders really need to stay focused on this, use clear processes, and look beyond just hitting simple diversity numbers to ensure genuine fairness.
Okay, looking forward then. What does the future hold for the office?
Flexibility seems to be the main theme. The office probably becomes less about individual desk work and more of a hub, a place for collaboration, creative brainstorming, team building, social connection.
Any cool future tech mentioned?
There's talk of virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, becoming more common for collaboration. Imagine teams meeting in a shared virtual space, even if they're miles apart.
How might cities change in response?
We might see more mixed-use developments, blending living, working, and leisure spaces closer together. Also, maybe more smaller satellite hubs in suburbs to cut down on long commutes.
And sustainability. Being green.
Definitely a priority. Expect more focus on renewable energy for office buildings and encouraging eco-friendly commuting like cycling or public transport.
What about how people are employed? The gig economy.
That's growing. More people working on short-term contracts or projects. This might lead to new models, like memberships allowing these workers access to office spaces or resources as needed, rather than a traditional employment setup.
So the office isn't dead, but it's definitely not staying the same.
Not at all. It's a living system, constantly adapting to new tech, societal shifts, and what we as employees expect from our work lives.
Wow, we've really covered a lot. From those early administrative centers, through cubicles, open plans, to today's hybrid world and beyond.
It's quite a journey.
And understanding these changes, well, it helps make sense of the modern world of work. Plus, hopefully you picked up some useful English vocabulary along the way.
Absolutely.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As technology makes remote work easier and easier, what do you think the real purpose of a physical office should be in the future?
Is it just about making sure people show up? Or is it more about building those connections, that culture, that spark of creativity that can be, harder to capture online?
What's most important to you? Something to think about.
Indeed.
Remember, learning English takes practice. We hope this session was helpful.
Keep listening and keep learning.
Please subscribe to QuickSpeak so you don't miss our future sessions.
And do check out the website mentioned in the description.
Yes, on the website you'll find more materials to help your English learning, like vocabulary lists and exercises based on today's topic.
It's a great resource to reinforce what you've heard.
Thank you so much for listening today. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.